Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst boss fights in superhero games.
Wasted the antidote on yourself?
For this list, we're taking a look at the worst boss fights in some of our favorite superhero games. Note that infamously terrible superhero games will not be considered because, they're bad already. What do you think is the worst superhero boss fight? Did it make our list? Share with us in the comments below. Number 10. Tombstone, Marvel's Spider-Man.
How'd you even manage to connect with Norton Lee?
I'm top of my game. I don't go knocking. People find me.
The PlayStation exclusive Spider-Man from Insomniac Games had some fantastic boss fights, from Scorpion and Shocker to Electro and Vulture. Unfortunately, Tombstone was the one villain that was completely forgettable, excluding Screwball. Tombstone didn't really throw anything interesting our way, and was basically another big grunt that could call more henchmen to his aid and deliver hard hits. While his second phase redeems the fight with his fiery chains, it doesn't last long before you put the big guy to rest. In the end, he just doesn't throw enough curveballs to be considered much of a threat.
Sure. For now. Hell of a run, though.
Not quite how I'd describe it.
This video is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is the definitive strategic RPG game that you can play anywhere. With over 600 champions to collect and customize, raids and dungeons with amazing loot, PvP, and clans to join, there's no better time to play. Raid is free to play on mobile and PC. Check the links in the description for more details. Let's go over some of my favorite champions in Raid. This is Astralon, a legendary champion and one of the coolest looking in my opinion. This crimson dual-wielding knight destroys the arena. No one is safe in battle because Astralon debuffs all enemies and strikes with both his swords. Next up is Brockus the Shifter. He is the king of damage with the ability to attack an enemy 6 times in a row and heal himself. He also buffs allies' attacks, making him invaluable to any team. One of my favorite activities in Raid is the Doom Tower. It's regularly updated with new rotations and bosses to keep gameplay exciting. It puts your team of champions against some of the strongest bosses in the game and gives you amazing rewards for victory. This really helps to level up and equip your champions with some of the best artifacts in Raid. So what are you waiting for? Play Raid today. If you click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on the screen, you'll get a free starter pack worth almost $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Vergus, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in the game. All these rewards will be waiting for you right here. Good luck, and I'll see you there. Number 9. Elizabeth Green, Prototype. When making a boss fight, it's important that you test the player's skills and offer unique setups. Introduce an enemy with interesting moves, force the player to use everything in their arsenal, really bring a challenge. Elizabeth Green does not do any of that. Just about every guide and forum you read regarding this boss fight will suggest you simply hijack everything and scale buildings to avoid her dumb green orbs. Attack from above, use Devastator, rinse, and repeat. This level of tedium makes for a really boring boss fight, and it's a shame to say considering how solid Prototype's combat and traversal is. Number 8. The Beast, Infamous 2. Speaking of non-licensed superhero games, Infamous is a spectacular franchise from Sony, but the finale to Infamous 2 was anything but. For the final mission, you'll have to choose whether to fight alongside the Beast or against it. Those who choose to fight it were given a mission that offered no challenge, even on the hardest difficulty. Sure, the power fantasy itself is somewhat satisfying, but come on, the fight against Kessler was more satisfying than this. Even when Quo fights you, she just doesn't offer much of a challenge. Number 7. Onslaught, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. The Marvel vs. Capcom games have boasted some epic boss fights that were tough but fair. Of them all, Onslaught is definitely the worst. The guy deals a ridiculous amount of damage, and even in the first round he can just attack whenever he feels like it. Things get worse in the second round as his hurt box now sits in the air, meaning you cannot utilize ground juggles. And on top of that, he can still attack without any chance of stunning him or interrupting his moves. And did we mention he takes up the entire screen?
No one is safe.
Number 6. Wolverine, Ultimate Spider-Man.
You don't say.
This should have been an insane fight. Come on, who wouldn't want to see a fight between Venom and Wolverine? Unfortunately, Ultimate Spider-Man presented the idea in the most underwhelming way possible. Wolverine does not do much to challenge you and proves to be a waste of your time. Logan employs the same 3 attacks over and over again, and all 3 of them are combos. Yeah, the health regeneration extends the fight longer than it ought to be, but the main problem is how easily exploitable and predictable the fight is. Just don't go nuts, don't absorb him, and abuse your tentacle powers.
Now I'm getting good at man.
Number 5. Augustine, infamous Second Son. Augustine felt like a lazy attempt at a villain already. Military lady with rock powers is pretty much her MO, and it's so uninspiring. Imagine our apathy towards the character when her boss fight proved to be just as dull. She's basically a more annoying version of the typical rock conduit, spending most of the fight levitating rocks around her and using the same freaking moves over and over again. Adding to the frustration is the fact that her second phase is when you finally get to learn rock-based moves. Really? We're going to need to learn an entirely new set of moves just for this one forgettable villain? Yeah, something tells us that Second Son was just a bit rushed toward the end. Number 4. Hulkbuster 2, Hulk Ultimate Destruction. When you think of a game where you get to control the Hulk, what kind of game do you imagine? One with beastly monsters, explosions, and lots of smashing, right? Hulk Ultimate Destruction certainly delivered that, but the fight against the Chief Combat Warden left much to be desired. This fight wasn't any different than our first run-in with the Hulkbuster. It's another brawl where the Hulkbuster rushes you, and eventually, smaller goons come out to assist. The only thing that isn't present are those damn satellite dishes. In the end, it just feels like we beat a bigger version of a regular baddie. Look, we're not angry about it, but we aren't impressed either. Number 3. Shocker, Spider-Man 2.
Get ready. Here comes the pain.
Speaking of unimpressed, Shocker had quite a bit of promise in Spider-Man 2. It wasn't just the fights that made these exciting. We were taking him down alongside Black Cat. Our excitement quickly waned though when we got to the final fight with Shocker. Not only is the writing here laughably abysmal, but the voice acting gets very repetitive and the sound design isn't any more pleasant. And on top of that, you can easily avoid Shocker's attacks by simply standing on one of the platforms that hold a control console. It's a boss battle that requires very little effort yet inflicts so much irritation.
Was that as good for you as it was for me?
Number 2. Titan Joker, Batman Arkham Asylum.
Two freaks in a fight to the death.
Batman Arkham Asylum was an excellent game from start to, well, right before the finish. Everything about Asylum was phenomenal up until our final confrontation with the Joker, and this fight would become one of the worst final bosses in gaming history. The clown prince of crime injects himself with Titan and morphs into a behemoth with disturbingly long nails and an absurd mohawk. Adding to the monotony, Joker doesn't do much to keep things interesting. The arena gets a bit more hazardous, but he employs the same melee attacks over and over again. At least Arkham City would improve its boss fights and excel greatly in just about all of them. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Deathstroke, Batman Arkham Knight.
Just a matter of time before I find you, Dark Knight.
The Arkham games are, without a doubt, fantastic in their own unique ways. Unfortunately, the series also houses two of the worst boss fights in gaming history. As if Titan Joker wasn't bad enough, Arkham Knight would greatly disappoint with its finale by having players fight Deathstroke in a tank. Yep, because an assassin trained in martial arts and weaponry totally equates to tank warfare. Tedium plagues this part of the game, and considering Batman and Deathstroke's history of awesome fights, this one left us very bewildered and with a bad taste in our mouths. It was this fight that got Arkham Knight so much flack for so long, and the Batmobile's mere presence did not help.
You think it's wise to put me in here with all these lesser warriors? You might not have any prisoners left when you return.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.